Hello everyone, it is Luke here, and I want to show you a really cool game in which Icystun and I were teaming against Valger to the well-known world champion of the first four-player chess championship, and Miss Jenny 22. So here we go. We open H3, C6, H11, and Miss Jenny plays a move that I don't like, which is this. Leaves open this diagonal and doesn't point the queen or any of the pieces in this direction. So, I will get to that idea in a little bit, but queen to k5 is played. That was the whole idea after c6. We eye our bishop here and our queen here, preventing Valger from playing any of these two moves, which is why we see Valger play knight to c9. Icystun plays queen here, already eyeing the queen on this square and threatening a direct double checkmate on this move. So here we are. Knight to l9 is played on the board, stopping the checkmates. And here it is, knight to i3. This move is extremely important in this game. Icystun was chatting with me, or he was airing with me, or showing me that the idea of basically scholars made on the world champion could be played in two moves with the diagonal being blocked off. So Icystun was airing this kind of stuff with this queen going here and the queen takes. That actually doesn't work because of this. And oh, here's Miss Jenny while I'm recording. We have the queen there would have blocked off any ideas of scholar's mate because the queen couldn't go here or here either because of that. What I wanted to really cover here, of course, Valger did reply with that. He wasn't, he didn't want any queen sacrifices here. So knight k12 was played, and Miss Jenny goes and focuses on the queen side again, attacking the knight. But what happens here is we see that Miss Jenny is not really developed, has the whole entire back row of pieces, and no pieces are pointed in my direction. And the move that I play here, with the idea of putting this knight here, is queen here. I said in chat I like putting my queen on the opposite side of the board. It's the one that confused Valger and Icystun during the first game of my match against them. So Valger feels threatened, he feels a counter attack coming, and plays the blunder of the game, which is knight d11. Here's the critical position, and we missed a game-winning checkmate here, but I aired it, and it was a mate in 2. After about 8 seconds plus 15 delay, Icystun goes for the idea that I showed him earlier, which is knight to l10. Miss Jenny 22 is spelling out my name. I can tell. But what should have been played instead, and the chat was discussing it, was this really cool queen sacrifice on move 4 against the world #1 player, ladies and gentlemen. And that was queen takes c8 check. And going over the idea of pointing your pieces in the left direction, there is nothing that Miss Jenny 22 could do in 2 moves. There's nothing Greg could do in 2 moves that could put me in check while this queen sacrifice was in action. And there's also nothing that Miss Jenny 22 could do to keep my queen from being involved against blue, or any sort of block. And let's look at some examples here. The reason why knight I3 was played was to block that queen from being able to check me in 2 moves. And we'll see that the knight here could not check in 2 moves. There's no way for the bishop to check in 2 moves, or the queen to go an alternative way. And finally, let's go over the move that Icystun thought was a problem in us sacrificing the queen, and that was this move. So the one move for red to play to keep the idea is this one, and you either take the queen, or if you don't, you just get checkmated. But the one thing that looks scary about this idea was that, well, this was going to be taken, or his king was going to be checked. But yellow moves first, and this queen right here could not block in any way, and could not take the knight, or could not check red. The knight is in the way. Again, a brilliant move by Icystun, knight to I3. So after all that's said and done, that's checkmate, even if the queen moved here. So what happened in the game after that knight move was played was Miss Jenny reacted with a rook move, pieces still on the back rank, knight still right here, and we move the queen here to threaten checkmate. The move that should have been played was this move, but our queen sacrifice idea was still alive after this move, and finally we went for it. Once Valger looked at the board, he realized it was losing for them, and Miss Jenny resigned. But same thing was happening. This, and yellow goes, and I made blue. So the point of this video was sort of proof on the fact that the queen sacrifice was working on move 4. And the spectator chat was definitely talking about it here. I think E4's idea was okay. Queen takes C8 was mate, and there's a little debate about it. And Icystun after the game thought, well, it wasn't working. Queen takes I13, and then finally, it does. Yeah, it does work. Yep, it was just mate. So maybe after doing a little analysis on Valger losing with the queen bishop pawn, it might be time for everyone to start playing c7 again, going back to the old school opening of the classical, and keeping the bishop, threatening to check on the king. And obviously king pawn loses the bishop. That was just another way to aim in blue's direction, or in yellow's direction. But if we go the old school style, I think it's pretty equal for both sides. Development is equal, and you had bishops with the ideas pointing in that direction. And you know, old school openings are quite fine if you're talking about the classical. So we could be heading in that direction where it just goes back to classical rather than Sicilian, because Sicilian seems like, oh yeah, you're attacking that pawn, but once red develops and defends and just develops and is able to thrive in this kind of opening realized that it's better to get the queen pawn out on move 1 for blue and for green. Yeah. So I thought this was a really cool game. It was just casual, but we did end up beating the world's best known player with the title of a Grandmaster, Valger. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.